Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone. Today we have another lesson in Mega Goal 6. But before we start the new lesson, let's take a quick overview of the previous lesson. In the previous lesson, on page 59, we've talked about two skills, pronunciation, and we also talked about vocabulary building. In the pronunciation part, we explained the meaning of the word pronunciation, and we said that it means the way we utter or say a word. Why do we study pronunciation? To be able to understand what we hear and in order to be able to say the words properly. In this lesson, we focused on two techniques, the rising intonation and the falling intonation. And we said that we have questions, and questions usually serves two purposes. The first one is to ask about something that we have no idea about, something that we don't know. In this type of questions, we use the falling intonation. And we said that the falling intonation is where our sounds goes lower and lower at the end of the sentence. And in the second purpose of asking questions is to confirm an idea or to confirm an information that you already know. And this type usually ends with a rising intonation. We had some exercises here, like what do you think is going to happen? In this type or in this part, as you can notice, there is an arrow that's going down. That means this sentence or this question ends with a falling intonation, and number 3 and number 5 ends with an arrow that goes up. That means it's a question that ends with a rising intonation. After that, in the vocabulary building, we had 7 words that were extracted from the essay that we are going to read together in our lesson today. We've listened to this essay together, and you were asked to guess the meaning of each one of these words. We listened so we can listen to these words within the context, and listening to the words within a context give us the opportunity to be able to guess the meaning of the word. We did this, or we practiced this together. Then after that, we went back and explained each word. We talked about confidential, and we said it's something that is secret. Derogatory, something or misbehaving with people. Number 3, divulge is releasing a secret or telling a rumor about someone. Excluding, taking out something. Immune, being protected. Malicious, something harmful. And superior is better than the others. And the answers for these words are as shown here. Confidential is done or communicated in secret. Derogatory is showing lack of respect. Divulge is tell something that was secret. Excluding is leaving out. Immune, not vulnerable to being affected by something. Number 6, malicious is deliberately harmful, and the last word is superior, and the answer is A, better than others. On page 60, we have today a reading lesson. We are going to read this essay together. What is the title of essay? It's Psst, Why We Gossip. So today we are going to read an essay that has many points of views about why people gossip. And we are going to listen to many of the experiences of people that have gossiped before and how they went through this experience, okay? But before that, before we start reading this essay together, we will start with the before reading question. Why do you think people gossip? Before every reading or before reading every essay, we usually have some questions that help us reflect upon what we are going to read. Why do we have these questions? Because it can help us storm our brains to find ideas, to take some stances regarding what we are going to read. And we have here this question: why do you think people gossip? Of course, the answer for this question is going to vary. Each one of us has an answer or an opinion about this question. For example, you can say people like to know about other people's lives and so on, or gossiping is an interesting topic in the conversations and so on. After finding some answers for this question, we will go ahead now and start reading this article. But before we start reading the article or the essay about gossiping, I want you today to focus on one thing. Before we start reading this together, I want you now to pick up your pen, underline the new words, and after listening to the whole recording, you can go back, listen to the recording again, or reread the essay by your own. I want you to stop after finishing every paragraph and ask yourself some questions about this paragraph. Ask yourself some questions about the paragraph. For example, you can say, what is the main idea behind this paragraph? What does the author want to say? Okay, how did this example helped the author provide, supporting his own or her own idea? I want you to go deeper and think about every paragraph. Why we are going to do that? Because in this unit, we are going to learn how to get the main idea and paraphrase the main idea of each essay, and we will do that in the writing part. So I want you to start doing this from now. Read each paragraph and try to get the main idea behind every paragraph. Now let's go ahead and listen to the essay together. I want you to pick up your pen, underline the new words or expressions so we can discuss them together after that.
Pages 60 and 61. 8. Reading.
Psst. Pass it on. Why we gossip. Almost everyone has indulged in gossiping about other people at some time. Gossiping seems to be part of human nature. Gossip is spread in classrooms, in offices, at restaurants, in hallways, on the street, over the phone, and on the internet. No one is immune to gossiping or being gossiped about. But just why is it that people gossip? There are many reasons people gossip. Some people gossip because it makes them feel like they are part of a group. The people spreading the gossip feel like they are in on a secret and that they are accepted by the people listening to the gossip. By excluding the person they are gossiping about, the gossipers feel included. David Jardell has experienced this firsthand. David recalls, "When I first graduated from college, I was hired along with a few other graduates to be an assistant at a news station. It was a really competitive job, and at first it was difficult to make friends. We worked long hours and weren't paid very much. We were all really struggling. Or at least that's what I thought. But one day I overheard one of the other assistants, Rick, on the phone with his father. He asked his father if he could send more money to cover his rent. He also asked him whether he could increase the limit on the credit card he had given him. I got the feeling from the conversation that his parents were basically supporting him. I ended up gossiping about it to the other assistants. I knew I was wrong to do it, but at the time I couldn't resist. We all had a good laugh about it, and it helped us bond as a group. But there was a price to be paid for that, and Rick paid it. We used to tease him quite a bit, For example, if we were ordering a pizza, we would say, "Oh, Rick, wouldn't you prefer to have a nice meal at a restaurant and charge it to your daddy?" We meant it in good fun, but looking back, I can see how it might have seemed malicious to Rick. He ended up quitting. I always felt bad about the part I played in his...
Okay, now let's start with the technique that we have just discussed together, that we are going to stop after every paragraph, ask ourselves some questions about the intention or the purpose behind every paragraph and the main idea of this paragraph. Let's ask ourselves this question, talking about the first paragraph. What is the author is trying to say? If you go back, read the first paragraph, think about what is the author is trying to say. He tries to say that everyone gossips. Everyone or everybody gossips. Another question is, why is the author telling us that thing? Why is the author telling us that everybody gossips? Because he thinks that gossiping seems to be part of human nature. He wants us to believe, or he wants to illustrate that gossiping is a human nature. Now, this is an example of how you ask yourself about each part or each paragraph, how to get the main idea, the main points in each paragraph, and I'm pretty sure that you can do the same with the rest of the paragraphs throughout the whole essay. Now let's talk about two words. The first one is recalls. David recalls. What is the meaning of the word recalls? Recalls is synonym for the word remember. So we can say David recalls, David remembers, they are both correct. After that, we have here the word tease. We used to tease him quite a bit. What is the meaning of the word tease? The word tease is making fun of someone. It's a part of bullying. So teasing someone is joking about him, making fun of him. So his friend or their partner in their job was or didn't feel comfortable about that, and he quitted the job. Now let's go to the second slide or second part of our essay. Pick up your pens, underline the new words, and let's go ahead and listen to this part.
Other common causes of gossip are insecurity and a need to feel superior. When you spread rumors about someone, it reduces that person's status in other people's eyes. Judging other people negatively can make insecure people feel better about themselves, at least temporarily. Jim Lyle recalls having been guilty of this himself. When I had been at my first job for about a year, I was hoping for a promotion. Instead, they hired a new guy for the job that I had wanted. About 6 months later, a friend who worked in human resources told me that the new guy had been given a really bad performance review. My friend said that if his performance didn't improve, he would be in danger of being fired. I knew that this was confidential information, but each time I was having a conversation with someone in the office, I somehow found myself gossiping about it. Gossiping also made Jim feel powerful, important, and like the center of attention, at least for the few minutes it took to divulge the gossip. However, Jim adds, his performance improved, and he's very good at his job now. Also, I've gotten to know him, and he's really a nice person. Now I'm always worried someone will tell him that I used to gossip about him. Interestingly, though, the number one reason most young people gossip is not insecurity or a need for attention or acceptance. According to polls, most young people say they gossip out of boredom. Some people feel that when there is no conflict or drama in their social circle, life is too dull. For them, spreading rumors shakes things up and makes life more interesting. In essence, for many people, gossip is a form of entertainment. Cindy Lamott, a 19-year-old student at a community college, admits to being a big gossiper. Explains Cindy, "The truth is too boring. Gossip is fun, though I don't know whether I'd feel that way if the gossip..."
Okay, now let's start with some of the words that needs more explanation. In the third line, we have here, Jim Lyle recalls having been guilty. We've talked about the word recall and we said that it means remembers. Jim Lyle recalls having been guilty of this himself. What is the meaning of guilty? When you do something and the consequences of that thing are not what you have expected or went to the negative side, you feel responsible about things. You have a bad feeling within yourself. That is the meaning of feeling guilty or being guilty about something. So having guilty, feeling responsible about a bad consequence of something. Another word we have here is the word conflict. When two things are or when there is a controversial about something, or when two things are, or when two people are not agreeing on one thing, then you can say there is a conflict between these two parties or those persons. Okay, after that we have a word which is gossiper. When we say a gossiper, gossiper is a word that refers to the one who does the gossip. So the one who does the gossip is the gossiper. Okay, now let's go ahead and go to the last part in our lesson today.
Me. However, for all its potential to do harm, gossip is not always a negative thing. Some gossip is harmless talk that is part of how people communicate and stay connected with each other. When people gossip about minor things, gossip can strengthen bonds between people and within a community. The issue isn't so much with gossip itself, but with the content of the gossip. Gossip becomes a problem when it is derogatory and hurtful. So the next time you hear a piece of gossip and feel the urge to pass it on, stop for a moment. Ask yourself whether the gossip will do harm to the person being gossiped about. If you think it might, it's a good time to keep your mouth closed.
Okay, now let's start with the first word, for all its potential. The word potential is more or less, let's say, a possibility or an opportunity of something, a future opportunity of something. After that, we have in the second line, some gossip is harmless. The word harmless is the opposite of malicious or the opposite of harmful. When we say about something that it's harmless, that means it's not going to cause any harm for anyone. Another word is derogatory. We've talked about the word derogatory and we said it's when you misbehave or when you say bad things about other people. Okay, now we have read this essay together. We've learned some techniques about finding the main idea behind every paragraph and how to get the main idea of the whole of the essay. Now let's go to the last part in our lesson today, which is the post-reading, or the after-reading. We have today only one exercise, which is true and false. But this time we are going to rewrite the false statement to make them true. So we have 5 statements. Some of them are true and others are false. We will rewrite every false statement to make it correct or to make it true. Now you can pause the video right now, read the statements carefully, and make sure they reflect the ideas of the author. But we will start doing the first one together. Then after that, you can do the rest by your own. Number one, it's human nature to gossip. Is that a false or true? If you think about the first paragraph, you will remember that the author said it's a human nature. So the answer of this one is true. Number two, disappointment and anger are common causes of gossip. If you go back to the second slide here, you will read you will read the reasons behind gossiping. Interestingly though, the number one reason most young people gossip is not insecurity or a need for attention or acceptance. According to polls, most young people say they gossip out of boredom. So the answer of this one is false, and the correct answer is not disappointment and anger are common causes for gossip, but need for attention, acceptance, insecurity, feel superior, powerful, and important are the main or the reason or the causes of gossip. Number three, gossiping usually is an effective way of gaining acceptance into a group. That is a false, because if you go back to the essay, you will find that gossiping give you only a temporary acceptance among the groups. So gossipers are only accepted for the short time or the short period of time it takes to spread the gossip. Number four, gossip usually reduces the status of the person being gossiped about. True. The last thing, the number one reason most young people gossip is a need to feel superior. And if you go back to the same slide, you will find that most young people gossip out of boredom. So the answer is false, and the correct answer is most young people gossip because they are bored. This is the last part of our lesson today. Thank you all for attending, and I wish you enjoy the rest of the day. Assalamu alaikum.